Hello, my name is Braden, this is Airless Quill 9, and in today's video we are going to talk about creating a background with the Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition rules. Now in the 2024 Dungeon Master's Guide, there is a section that talks about how to create a background. Of course, you, if you're a player, will need the permission of your Dungeon Master to do so, and the process talks about doing this with your Dungeon Master. But if your Dungeon Master is more hands-off, then you as the player could do this on your own and just get your Dungeon Master's approval once you create a background. But this is also a tool for Dungeon Masters to create unique backgrounds for their homebrew settings. So we are going to talk about this process, why you might want to do this, and at the end I'll give some examples of backgrounds that I was able to come up with these rules. So let's get to it. So what is a background? A character's background represents what the character did prior to becoming an adventurer. This is why in the player's handbook there's backgrounds such as acolyte, sailor, farmer. There's quite a few options. I believe there's 16 in the player's handbook. So as to why we would want to create a background, perhaps we need to create a unique background, or we wish to customize an existing one from the player's handbook that reflects on the particular theme of the campaign or elements within the world of the campaign that we're playing in. So the DM can also create a background to help a player craft the story that they have in mind for their character. So this is mostly a tool for DMs, but with the DM's approval, players can use the system as well. Just make sure you get your Dungeon Master's approval before you start a campaign with a customized background. Now, the easiest way to do this would be just to customize an existing background in the player's handbook, either by replacing a feat or replacing some ability scores or skill proficiencies, or even the tool proficiency if you think that doesn't fit the kind of character that you want to play. But there is a way to create your own background without taking any or without customizing an existing one. So you can create something entirely your own. And that's really what we're going to focus on in the bulk of this video. So how do we create a background? Well, there are 5 steps that the Dungeon Master's Guide gives us to do this. So these 5 steps require the player and the Dungeon Master to do the following. We need to choose abilities, choose a feat, choose skill proficiencies, choose a tool proficiency, and then choose equipment. So we're going to talk about each of these steps and how you might want to go about doing that and what the options are for these particular steps. So step number 1, we have to choose our abilities. So we need to choose 3 ability scores that seem appropriate for the background. And these ability scores are what we will be able to increase when we create our character. So for strength or dexterity, these abilities are ideal for a background that involves physical exertion. For constitution, this ability is ideal for a background that involves endurance or long hours of activity. Intelligence or wisdom is for one or both abilities are ideal for a background that focuses on cerebral or spiritual matters. And finally, charisma is an ability ideal for a background that involves performance or social interaction. Now, each of these ability scores have their own ups and downs. Most likely, you're going to be wanting to choose ability scores that function well for the type of character that you're wanting to play, particularly what ability scores work best for the class that you're wanting to choose. So just keep in mind that each ability score does something specific, even though you might want a particular one for your class. Do keep in mind that it needs to fit the background that you are creating for your character. It needs to fit the background of your character before they became this adventurer that they're becoming. Second, we need to choose a feat. So there are a number of feat options, and the feat that we choose has to be from the origin category. As you can see here, there are a number of options available to us. We have Alert, Crafter, Healer, Lucky, Magic Initiate, Musician, Savage Attacker, Skilled, Tavern Brawler, and Tough. Now, each of these feats provide certain benefits for the character. So if you're wanting to play more of a magical type character with some innate abilities, obviously you're going to want to go with Magic Initiate. If you're wanting to play more of a performer who focuses on playing musical instruments and providing bolstering speeches and stuff like that, you're want to go with musician. If you're a skill junkie, you're going to go with skilled. And then obviously all the others, they all have specific benefits. So just keep that in mind when you're choosing a feat, because you're going to want to choose one that fits the background that you're creating, but also caters to the character that you're wanting to play. Third, we are going to choose skill proficiencies. So our character will get 2 skills appropriate for the background. There doesn't need to be a relationship between the skill proficiencies and the ability scores that the background increases. So you don't need to cater to both of those. But do keep in mind that some ability scores work best, or some skills work best with certain ability scores. So you might want some overlap depending on what you're wanting to do as your character. As you can see here, I've included the list of all the skills available in 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons. So just go through this list and choose the 2 skills that you think would be most appropriate for the background and your character. Fourth, we are going to choose a tool proficiency that this background might be associated with, or a tool that might be used by a character with this specific background that we're creating. So as you can see here, there are a multitude of options here. There are alchemist supplies, brewer supplies, calligrapher supplies, carpenter supplies, cartographer supplies, cobbler supplies, cook's utensils, glassblower's tools, jeweler's tools, leatherworker's tools, mason's tools, painter's supplies, potter's tools, smith's tools, tinker's tools, weaver's tools, wood carver's tools. Those are all artisan tools. And then finally we have other tools such as disguise kits, forgery kits, gaming set, musical instrument, navigator's tools, poisoner's kit, or thieves' tools. Do keep in mind that each of these tool proficiencies uses a certain ability score when using them. They also provide advantage on skills that use that particular ability score. And you can utilize each tool to provide certain benefits to yourself. And you can also use each tool to craft specific items. So this is something that you're going to want to think about a little bit, because there is some neat benefits for each tool, but obviously choose the one that fits your character the most and caters to the background that that character has. And then finally, the last step of this process is we have to choose our starting equipment. Now we choose equipment worth 50 gold pieces. This includes any unspent gold that we don't use. And the equipment that we buy cannot include any martial weapons or armor, because characters get those from their class choices. So options that we have here would be artisan tools or other tools. Likely the option that we chose for the background, that's a good option to take. Obviously, you're going to have adventuring gear. There are a ton of options in this section. make sure to buy some clothes for your character as well for their travels. And then obviously we can choose simple weapons as well, if that makes sense for your character, such as a dagger or something simple like that. So yeah, this is pretty easy. You also can just take 50 gold pieces and worry about buying equipment later. That is an option. So yeah, as you can see, 5 simple steps to creating a background, and I'm actually going to show you 2 homebrew backgrounds that I created specifically to share with you guys so that you can get an idea of how you can use these 5 steps to create a background for a character. So here is the first background that I made. It's called the Gourmand. This is a culinary expert who specializes in making meals and expressing their mood through a combination of ingredients to bring people together. So this is a specialized fun background that I decided to create, and I really created this to pair with a character that wants to take the chef feat or the chef general feat later on in their career. So obviously I gave this background its ability scores that they can increase are Constitution, Wisdom, and Charisma. Wisdom I chose specifically, or Constitution and Wisdom I chose specifically because both of those are part of the chef general feat. And then Charisma obviously made sense because this is more of a social character that creates meals for people. The feat I chose for them was Tough. There wasn't a perfect feat for this type of character, but Tough made sense to me because I imagined well, at least if I was playing this type of character, this would be someone who really likes food. So there's probably a boisterous, jovial character who's a little bit chunkier, but that was just me. Obviously, you could choose a different feat here, but I felt Tough made a little bit of sense to me. And then for skill proficiencies, I chose Insight and Performance. Tool proficiency, I obviously chose Cook's Utensils. This does overlap with the Chef feat later on if you were to take that in combination with this background. However, the only thing that really the only thing that is the same with the chef's feat would be you get proficiency with tools, utensils if you lack the proficiency, but obviously we're going to have that starting at level 1 if we use this Gourmand background. And then finally for equipment, if you look at all the backgrounds in the player's handbook, there is a choose A or B option. B is always just take 50 gold, and then A is a list of equipment that makes sense for that background. The equipment I chose for this particular character were cook's utensils, dagger, fine clothes, a healer's kit, an iron pot, a mess kit, 1 flask of oil, a tinder box, traveler's clothes, water skin, and 22 leftover gold pieces. So yeah, this was a fun background that I created. Kind of interested in using it, and also feel free to take this as well and make some tweaks of your own if you want to play this culinary type character. Obviously, if you've watched Delicious in Dungeon, this would be perfect for a dungeon meshy type character. So yeah, some fun option there. And then the second background that I made was to capitalize on the Tavern Brawler feat, because the only feat in the player's, or the only background in the player's handbook that has the Tavern Brawler feat is the Sailor, and I wanted to create another background that utilized that specific origin feat. So the Pugilist was born. This is a boxer type character. They basically fight unarmed for fun, and this gives them a increased toughness and resilience, focuses on pushing their body to the limit. And this is a type of character who strives to improve themselves both in and out of the ring. So this is really a martial focused character. So if you're wanting to play a monk, this would be a great option. If you're wanting to play a barbarian that focuses on using their fists, this could be good. You could also play a fighter with the unarmed fighting style, or any other class that gives the fighting style feature and take unarmed fighting to capitalize on this particular background. So yeah, this is really the main focus that I made this particular one for. Obviously, for ability scores, the three that I chose were strength, dexterity, and constitution. It just made sense to me that we focused on the physical ability scores for this particular homebrew background. So those were the three I chose. And obviously, the origin feat that we took was Tavern Brawler, because that's what I built this entire background based off of. For skill proficiencies, I chose athletics and survival. Obviously, some other options you could choose would be athletics and acrobatics, or you could replace survival with some other skill that makes sense for your character, but these are just the two that I chose to put in here. For tool proficiency, I didn't know if a specific tool fit this type of character, so I decided that you could choose one type of gaming set, because that seemed like a fun option. And then finally, for equipment, we get to choose A or B. A, I gave a chain, crowbar, a gaming set, which is the same gaming set as the type that you choose your tool proficiency to be. A mirror, 10 flasks of oil, 2 pouches, rope, traveler's clothes, and 33 leftover gold pieces. Or B, we just take 50 gold pieces. So yeah, this is really focusing on being a rigorous martial type character that focuses on unarmed combat. So yeah, so just 2 options I created here using these particular rules, and I figured I would share them with you: the Gourmand and the Pugilist, 2 homebrew backgrounds for you to utilize if you so wish. Let me know if you do mess around with them, because they seem like some fun options. But that is going to be it for this particular video. As you can see, 5 simple steps to create your background. Just get your dungeon master's approval if you're a player wanting to create a specific background, or if you're wanting to customize a background from the player's handbook to your own specific play style. If you enjoyed the video, please feel free to like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate your support. I'm working to get my channel up to 500 subscribers. So if you haven't subscribed yet, help me get to that goal. I greatly appreciate your help, and thank you all for watching. I will catch you all in the next video. See ya!